Hey YouTube, it's Matt with Olympus Reptiles, and I'm flying solo today because my co-pilot in doing all the talkie-talkie stuff says he couldn't get off work as early today and he's stuck at work. I want you guys to give Caleb a massive amount of shit because I think he just got camera shy. He just didn't want to see himself on camera. See, the secret is about being on camera. One thing I'll tell you, there's always this, rumor that the camera adds 15 pounds, and I don't think it really does. But when you watch yourself, you just go, damn, is that really me? I've gotten used to seeing my fat ass, so it doesn't bother me anymore. But some people are like, oh, do I really look like that? Do I really sound like that? It is something you got to get used to. He's actually really good with that. I just want to give him some shit, so you should too. We all get stuck at work sometimes. But today's video is going to be a really interesting topic. It's one of those things people don't think about very often, and that is, we've talked a lot about ball python business and a lot about how to grow your business and a lot about how we do things, which is not the only way of doing things. And even how we do our numbering system and how we track things in our very, very humble beginnings, in that you can start from humble beginnings and grow into something that's profitable and continue to grow as far or as little as you want. But we really haven't talked about some of the tricks that we've used to help keep on pace when we started getting a pace. So you got to look back in our history. We started Olympus just a little over 10 years ago, and I know that thanks to a Facebook memory that popped up of me buying Chronos. That's if you're going to say Olympus was born on the day I bought Chronos, which, honestly, guys, when I bought Chronos, I had no intention of breeding snakes. I just wanted a snake. So it's probably really not even true. You could probably say it's been 9 years, maybe 8. And we didn't produce our first viable babies until 2015. And we were still kind of this ship on the water with an idea. You can go back and watch videos for yourself. That really didn't have much of a plan, right? We didn't really get a plan of, because confined to a small spot, all of these things, and not really understanding how the growth was going to work until, I don't know, Kurt, what would you say, 17 or 18?
Sure.
We'll go with that. And so then we kind of really put a plan in place. We sat down, we got a growth plan, how we were going to hold back things, and all of this, and started being interested in it growing. It's going to be stagnant for a few years, takes a lot to get ready, and then we've started to see that growth that we really wanted now in 2021 or 2022, and hopefully now in 2023 especially. So let's talk about that a little bit. And what I really should do is shrink this down because I want to start somewhere else, because it'll make more sense if I do. So what I'm going to do is share with you guys kind of how things grew for us. And what in the hell just happened there? My computer's being a goofball. That's what I wanted you to do. And by doing that, really kind of let you know how things worked. So if we go back to 2021, okay? And why I'm going back to 2021 is to see how many clutches we produced. In 2021, we produced a total of, let me look here, it says 22 clutches, but one of those was carpets. We're only going to talk ball pythons. So in 2021, we had 21 clutches of ball pythons, right? I knew I wanted this board out for a reason. That's what we want. So we had. At that point in time, we'd been a little stagnant. We'd had about 21 to 22 clutches for several years. We were waiting for that growth boom from everything we'd held back, and as we finally got a plan together. Well, that growth boom really kind of set sail in 2022. So what we started looking for is I would go in, and I would compare. And if you start to feel you're behind, like, oh man, I feel like I'm behind this year. I don't know if I'm going to hit my goals. And we're always setting goals of what we want to produce. You can go back and look at 2021 and say, okay, what is today? Today is, what are we in, May 9th?
May 9th.
Let's go look. Where was I at May 9th of 2020, of 2021? Whoop. Man, that's crazy. So May 9th of 2021, okay, I had 2 clutches of ball pythons. So we'll sound 5'9". I had 2 clutches. That's it. Okay? That's it. That's where we're at for this year. That's not a lot. And we still finished the year with 21 clutches, so it tells me I can feel really good. Now, if you look at my numbers, actually those 3 clutches, but again, one of those was carpet python. So let's look at, if we say, okay, we're starting to call these things as ovulations, we're building towards ovulation, we don't have to really breed them anymore, we know we're good to go. And everything that we would mark right now would be laid probably by the end of July, being very, very easily by the end of July because we're in May right now. So let's say that's the case. That gives them some time to ovulate, finish, shrink down, shed by June 1st, have their pre-lay and then lay. So where were we at by the end of July? That's kind of going to be what I want to know too. We put in a lot of work there in that part of the year. Let me tell you, we had a big growth spurt through those months. There we were. So we were at, by July 31st. Is there 31 days in July, Kurt? Is that right? Or 30? Go by July 30th. That way I don't look like an idiot. I don't really want to look like an idiot. It's okay to talk like an idiot. It's worse to write like an idiot. So I'm just going to write July 30th. We would have had, we would have had 16 clutches.
You talking June or
July?
Okay, July.
Yeah, July 30th. So let's compare that to 2022. Where will we have been at? Our total number of ball python clutches in 2022 was, we did, let's see, 44 clutches, but out of those 44 clutches, one set was rattlesnakes, one set was boas, one set was carpet pythons. We really did 41 clutches in 2022. So as you can see, from 21 to 22, we have a large increase of babies. Now there's some things with that we still have to kind of figure out and deal with and trying to keep, but that's another story, another video. So anyway, large increase in babies. So where were we as of today's date on 5/9 in 2022, right? Well, let me take a look at that. Excuse me. Whoa, what is that thing doing? Go away. Stop that. I'm trying to do some weird shit. So we had clutch number 1, March. We're looking for May 19th.
May 9th.
May 9th. That's a good call. Got to cut one out because one was carpets. Okay, by May 9th, we had 11 clutches. Okay, that's where we're at by May 9th. July 30th, we'll see what we were doing. And I like to go through and do this because, again, this is going to be a good benchmark. I can see what happened from 2021 to 2022. I don't expect as much growth from 2021 to 2022 as I'm going to get from 2022 to 2023. I do not expect to see a 20 clutch increase. We knew that was going to start to slow down. What we want to see is an increase. That's what we really want to see. Will we see it? We're going to find out. Well, we won't find out till the end of the year because, that's how it works. There's 2 we got to cut out of this number because that's boas. Let's see here. Getting there. We had a lot of babies in June and July. Those are usually pretty busy months for us. Got to cut out 3 because that was when we had the westerns. Whoop, there it was. So 35 minus 3 at 32 clutches. So at that point in time, you can see we were a good number ahead, 16, right? We doubled it. Literally, we doubled our output almost. And we, from 5/9, we had 2, we were at 11. So we didn't increase as much because we were already up by a good chunk, but we were still increasing, so that's pretty good. Let's look at 2023 now to see, are we on pace for increase? And this is where the numbers start to get off and are nice because you can follow trends if you do this often enough. Now, I already know the answer to this because, well, I'll be honest, this isn't my first rodeo with this. So let's go here. So we know what 2022 did, so we're going to go back and look at 2023. I can't give you my total numbers for 2023 yet because we obviously don't have that. All we've had so far this year is ball python clutches, so that number is going to be a solid number. And I can go all the way down because they're all laid. So we were at, on 5/9, we were at 13 clutches. So not a huge difference, right? We're up by 2. So we are seeing an increase. And now I can't give you the total number by July 30th, But I could say, hey, this is how many ovulations we've had plus clutches, and I do happen to know that number is 35. So we are looking at an increase of 2, an increase of at least probably 3, and I expect it to increase farther than that. So we are seeing a trend. Now this year, like I say, we're not going, I hope to pass this. That is the goal to pass. The goal for this year, if I was going to put a goal on it, would be 45 to 50. That's where I want to be this year. The goal for this year was actually, we wanted to just bust 30. As you can see, we far exceeded it. So my goal for this year would have been most likely 40, but since we got so far, that raises the bar. That's why you got to keep on track of that, right? But that's what Kurt and I talked about, was 30 would be a successful year. We just wanted to get past that, and we did a lot better than we anticipated. So the point of this is, though, when you're going through, there are times in 2023 that I have felt like, man, I just don't feel like we're having them as frequent. We're not seeing as many ovulations like we did last year, and I don't know if we're at the same point. Well, if I didn't keep those numbers, or if I didn't take the time to go back and look through every now and then, I would start to feel a little bit of stress, a little bit of panic, and like I was behind or something was wrong. The numbers are going to tell me the truth, and these numbers say that I'm right in line to do what I want to do. I'm already 3 ahead, and I'll likely find a few more along the way. 3 ahead would put me at 44, by the way. So if I find 2 more, I'm right in the wheelhouse where I wanted to be, which is pretty awesome. So like, this is why you keep some of those numbers, and then the goal next year is going to depend on what we do here, and we're going to see that increase as well. And I think next year, 2024, should be pretty banner, because we've established some more things in a better light in our infrastructure, which we'll get to on Patreon, which is going to help us exceed these goals even further in 2024, plus achieve some other ones. So that is kind of what I do, just to kind of track. This is part of why I like spreadsheets. There's probably a more scientific, snazzy way to do it. I know a lot of guys like the little scan tools. I don't know if it'll poop out a spreadsheet as readable as this. If it does, then that's great. But it lets me just double check. And so I get here and I look and I say, you know what? Hey, man, I'm doing pretty good. I don't have to stress. I can count where my ovulations are. I can feel good. I can also go through here and see which females from last year have already ovulated, which females are on the same track, and which ones aren't. But let's say, for shits and giggles, I came in and I felt like, man, we're behind. And instead of this, I was here. And instead of here, I was here. Thank God we're not. Now, I would feel a little stressed, right? Because I'd be like, man, we were 8 clutches behind. That's not good. And we're still 7 clutches behind. So it's getting a little better, but we're still behind. And it's like, it can also tell you that your feelings are legit. And maybe then you need to look at what you're doing. Are my temps off? Is my feed schedule off? Am I not getting my pairings right? Is there something that's wrong in what I'm doing that's not allowing me to go forward? So these numbers, they're one of the ways that your snakes will talk to you if you keep the numbers. They talk to you in a lot of ways. This is one of the ways that the snakes will talk to you if you listen. They're telling you what's going on. So thankfully, we don't have to do that. We can do this and put that back to a better spot. Kurt, anything you want to add about what we're doing here and why we do this?
No.
Do you like this when you come up here and I tell you things like I do all the time and say, hey, man, we're looking good. We're on pace for last year. We're ahead of last year. Or we're behind last year. Something's fucked up. I mean, or do you prefer knowing that I know that as opposed to knowing that this side of the business just has no fucking clue to fly by night? Which one would you prefer as my business partner to hear?
I like reassuring numbers and stuff on track than, hey, we're going to just wing it and see how it goes.
Yeah. And if I remember right, during 2022, there was a point in time, if memory serves, where you were like, oh man, I don't know if we're going to get it. I'm like, it's good, it's fine. I'm seeing it, it's good, it's fine. And bam, there we were, right? We ended up shooting up like a rocket to 41. We usually get the feeling that way in that February and March. And I think what caused it was, if you were to look back at 2022, which I happen to have up here, we dropped carpet eggs. No, we didn't. We dropped carpet eggs. What the hell am I looking at? I thought we dropped them in February. That was 2021. That was probably why, because in 2021, we had dropped carpet eggs in February. And in 2022, we didn't drop anything until March. So, you know, like our incubator wasn't filled, it wasn't running, and it just seemed slow. And then we also had a really big gap. But since I was checking ovulations, I knew we were good. Because in March, we had 1, 2, 3, 4. April, we had 1, 2, but those are the carpets. 3, 4, 5, 6. And in May, we had 1, 2, 3. When did we have a gap? I remember you were freaking out. Your boas. 5. And we hit June. So I don't remember when we had a gap. Maybe you're 20 freaking out. You're freaking out in 21 maybe. One of those years, I remember there was a lot of like hand wringing going on. And it's like we were going to be all right because I was checking previous years and just knew not to worry. We'll have some ebbs and flows and some gaps in there. So anything you want to add, Kurt, about this?
No.
So guys, only I'm going to say on it, this is why you keep records. It's a multitude of things. 1, it reassures your customer because you can provide all that if needed. 2, it reassures you when you're starting to feel like, hey, I'm failing at something. Now you at least know if you are. And if you are, then you can go in and figure out how to fix it. And if you're not, it tells you that, hey, no, you're freaking the fuck out. Just breathe easy. Things are going the right way and everything is on pace for where it should be. So very important that you keep records and set goals for how you're going to grow. If you don't do these things and you just fly by night, your business ain't going to grow. Right? It's going to stagnate because you have no fucking plan. I've been there. I've done that. Have a growth plan. Have a plan for everything from this. And how do you set your goals and how do you grow? It's really simple. You pick your holdbacks and you know how many you want to hold back each year, how much you can handle, how much you want to put on your plate extra, how much room you can have. I can tell you, going from 21 clutches to 41 clutches was a bitch. I can tell you that. This right here, and knowing that this was going to turn into this, which is eventually going to turn into, let's say, this, and then eventually going to turn into, hopefully, this. Of course, this isn't each year, okay? Knowing that, and knowing what a son of a bitch this was, is one of the things that led me to go ahead and leave my job. This is why I chose to retire and picked a different career that I'm still going to have a day job, because I need to have a day job, that will allow me to have much more flexibility in my time and my effort without owning me like, you know, a government job can, and with what I do. So with that flexibility will allow me to do this. But because I know that, I knew this probably could happen. This damn sure wasn't going to happen, and this wasn't going to happen for sure if I stayed in my current job. So I ended up leaving it a little earlier than I initially intended, but that is why. Kearney, you want to add? All right, guys, thanks for watching. Have that plan. We'll catch you all next time.